Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam me astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaha Te mai santo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so let us just review a little bit what we covered last time and then we will move on. So we are in the 8th section, Ashtama Kandaha, of the 6th chapter. Now, in this 8th section, this is where Tattvamasi comes first. But to build up the topic, he wants us to understand, Uddālaka Ṛṣī wants us to understand, what is this Sat? What is this Sat, which is a substratum of the world? How do we see that in us? So we know that the substratum of the world is pure existence without any name or form, pure existence which is timeless, spaceless, no time, no space, pure existence which is without any limitation, pure existence or pure being which is just one. So when we recognize that the substratum of the world is this existence, but how is this existence me? How am I this existence also? So the first few sections of Chandogya Upanishad, we had broken everything down to fire, water, and earth. And we said that the basis, the substratum for them is existence. And also if we keep breaking down every single bit of what we know, then we will also come to existence. If we think about the common denominator of all beings, all things, living and non-living, what is that which is common in all of them? We cannot say it's the body, because not everything has a body. A book doesn't have a body, a table doesn't have a body. We cannot say that it's a mind, because not everything has a mind. A table doesn't have a mind, a couch doesn't have a mind. We cannot even say that it is life, because there are clearly things that are not living, not sentient. There are things which are inert. So what is the common denominator of everything from which everything is made? We come to the conclusion through this inquiry that is existence. It is existence. It is isness. Everything is, everything exists. So it's isness or existence, which is a common substratum. Now, to come to existence in me, the first thing he does is analyzes deep sleep. And he says to his son Śvetaketu I want to talk to you about swapiti. Now, in Sanskrit, swapiti, just the general meaning of the word, swapiti means sleeps. Yeah? So somebody sleeps. But in the Upanishad, they have given a new meaning, which is swam apitaha bhavati. That swapiti actually means that when one attains to oneself. Because in deep sleep, we are our pure selves. That same existence that is without time, space, limitation, without any otherness, that same existence, which is the substratum of the world, we attain to that in deep sleep, without time, without space, without any limitation, without any duality, even without any world. We attain to that in deep sleep. That is not to say that existence is not here and now, but in its purest form, it is there in deep sleep. Now, I just want to clarify deep sleep and samadhi because this question is often asked. I clarified it also in our Bhagavad Gita class, but I thought since this is the topic here, we can just look into it so we understand very clearly. See, first of all, the first thing that we have to think about is why people love to sleep. Why people love to sleep. Because, when we go to sleep, we're ready to leave anything and everyone, isn't it? We're ready to leave anything and everyone. Our favorite program that we're watching, we're ready to leave it. Our favorite person beside us, we're ready to leave them. Our favorite thing we're doing, we're outside, we're having fun, we're ready to go. We are ready to sacrifice all of the things for something that we love most. We always sacrifice the things that we don't love for the things that we really love, isn't it? In life, we always do that. So we are ready to let go of everything just to sleep. Because it is ananda, it is bliss for us. It is bliss for us. And at the same time, we don't want to wake up. When it's time to wake up, we like to delay 5 minutes more, 10 minutes more, when we get used to waking up, then we like to wake up. But other than that, we're so happy sleeping. Now, why are we so happy sleeping? Because in deep sleep, we attain to our nature of ananda. Only we don't know that it's coming from within. That ananda is there, that bliss is there without any person, without anything, without any experience, without any circumstance, without any kind of object. We are experiencing the greatest bliss possible in deep sleep. So it is not coming from an object. It's not coming from a person. It's not coming from an experience. It is not coming from any place. It is coming from within us. That's why we are able to experience it there. But only in deep sleep, we're unaware that this bliss is coming from within. And that's why when we wake up, we say, I slept happily, but I don't know what happened, right? I don't know what it was, but I slept happily. Where we went to, how we went to sleep, what happened, we don't know. We don't know. We just know I slept, finished. Now, what is samadhi? Samadhi is the same where there is no duality there. There's no world, no time, no space, no other object, no ego, nothing there. But when we go into samadhi, we go into it with knowledge that I am going to remain and rest in my pure being. When we go to sleep, we go in with ignorance. I'm going to sleep. And when we come out, I came from sleep. When we go into samadhi, we go with that knowledge that I am going to rest in my pure being, which is ananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss, ananda. And thus, when we come out of samadhi, then we understand we remained as our self. as our pure self. We understand. So we go in with knowledge and we come out with a deeper knowledge, so to say. Because in Samadhi, it's not that we experience Atman. Please know that we don't experience Atman. Atman is ever experienced. But in Samadhi, Atman is clearly evident. It's clearly evident. That self which exists without time and space and the world and names and forms, it's clearly evident. In the waking state, it's not as evident. But in Samadhi, it's clearly evident, and I very much remain there. So it's not that we experience it, it's ever experienced, but it's evident. So that is why there's a difference there between deep sleep and Samadhi. Deep sleep, we attain to, in our true being, we attain to our true being without any limitations, but we don't know it. But in Samadhi, we attain to our true being. We remain there knowing it, very well knowing it. And so when somebody comes out of Samadhi, their knowledge is deepened. They're better able to abide in the self. But when somebody comes out of deep sleep, that is not the case. That is not so much the case. So our rishis, they said that these two states are very profound, sleep and Samadhi, because they're the direct proof that we are pure being. A direct proof, we are pure being, without any of these limiting factors. The world, time, space, name, form, without any of it. We are pure being in these two states. So whenever Vedanta is studied, these states are always looked upon. And the greatness of our rishis also is that they realized, now look, I don't have to go anywhere else to attain to my pure being or to rest in my ananda, my nature of ananda, because I am ananda. So they found bliss through renunciation. We say in this Sannyasa Sutta, the karmanana prajaya dhanena tyagena ekena amritatvam anashuhu, means this immortality, it's gotten or it's attained by renunciation. Renunciation doesn't mean that one has to take this orange robe sannyasa. That is not what we mean. What we mean is the renunciation of the idea that there is joy in the objects of the world. That's what we mean. So the great rishis and rishikas, they were very much aware of it. So though they engaged in the world, they never ran after it. They never ran after it. Like this bird in mantra 2, disham disham patitva, flying to so many places, anyatra ayatana malabdva, not finding anything. So people nowadays, including us, we're not only engaging in the world, but we're running after it. We're running out of the world to seek that ananda, which is where? Here. And how do I know it's here? Very clearly, because in deep sleep, I get all the ananda without anybody and without anything else. That means it's not there, it's here. And in Samadhi, I get all that ananda without anybody, anything, anywhere else. That means it's not there, it's here. So our great, great masters, they engaged in the world, but they never ran after it. This is a difference. This is the difference. So in mantra 2, this is what it tells us, that just like that bird who's going everywhere and not able to find its own place of solace and peace and rest, the same way we also go out and pursue so many things, unable to find our place of solace and peace and rest, because the only resting place is Sat, this pure being. And so it says, prāṇa bandhanam hi somya manaha. Prana in mantra 2 means Sat. Pure being alone is the resting place of the mind. We will not find rest anywhere else. So this is what Uddālaka Ṛṣī is trying to tell Śvetaketu. That Sat, in the substratum of the whole world, is actually you. It's one and the same. One and the same. Now, Śvetaketu wants to see, how do I now think about Sat, or pure being, in the waking state? Okay, I'm able to think about Sat in the deep sleep state because you told me. But tell me, how can I also think about Sat, or pure being, pure existence, in the waking state? So that is where we are. Mantra number 3. Ashana pipase, ashana pipase, me somya vijanihi iti, me somya vijanihi iti, yatra etat purushaha, yatra etat purushaha, ashishishati nama, ashishishati nama, apa eva tad ashitam nayante, apa eva tad ashitam nayante, tadyatha gonayaha ashwanayaha purushanayaha, tadyatha gonayaha ashwanayaha purushanayaha, ityevam tad apa achakshate, ityevam tad apa achakshate, ashanaya iti, ashanaya iti, tatra etat shungam utpatitam, tatra etat shungam utpatitam, somya vijanihi iti, somya vijanihi iti, na idam amulam bhavishyati iti, na idam amulam bhavishyati iti. So here, now he says Somya. Somya, Śvetaketu, oh dear boy. Me vijanihi means from me know this. From me know this. What? Ashana pipase, the true nature of hunger and thirst. Ashana is hunger, pipasa is thirst. Ashana pipase, know from me the true nature of hunger and thirst. So how beautiful. Through sleep, we can come through Sat. Through hunger and thirst, we can come to Sat. Yatra, where, etat purushaha, where this man, this being is called ashishishati. Ashishishati, the one who is hungry, the one who is desirous of eating. This person is called ashishishati. And here, apa eva tad ashitam nayante. Actually, what happens is tad ashitam, whatever is eaten is led by water. Whatever we eat is led or is taken by water. And we will see this. Tadyatha, just as Gonayaha, there's a leader of cows. Ashwanayaha, a leader of horses. Purushanayaha, a leader of beings. Iti evam, in this way, apa achakshate ashanaya iti. Water is called ashanaya, or the leader of food. And tatra etat, there, that shungam, that body, utpatitam, which has sprung up, vijanihiti. Know that this body that has sprung up, naidam amulam, it has not sprung without a root. Means it needs a root to spring forth. So I'll read the English and then we will go through it. Dear boy, know from me the true nature of hunger and thirst. When a man is said to be hungry, then it is understood that water is leading away what has been eaten. Just as people speak of the leader of cows, the leader of horses, the leader of men, even so they speak of water as the leader of food. Hence, dear boy, know that this shoot, the body, to be put forth by a root, for it cannot be without the root. So here what's happening in this mantra, it's tracing the body, the root of the body. So this is the first idea we have to get. It's tracing the root of the body. So how does the body come forth? So we studied before that the body comes by food. By what we eat, this body is made. Now he is saying that this food is actually led by water. How so? When we take this word, it's very interesting in Sanskrit. When we take this word ashanaya, ashanaya means ashitam icha ashanaya, the one who is hungry or hunger. Ashanaya means hunger, right? But ashanaya also means water, because ashitam annam nayati iti ashanaya means that which leads food is called ashanaya, water. So in this mantra, what's happening is food becomes water. Food becomes water. The root of the body is food. The root of food is water. How so? If we look back a couple of mantras ago, how does food spring up? How does food spring up in the environment? Through rain. When we have rain, then food comes. Grains are there. So water is the cause of food. Water is the cause of food. At the same time, when we eat with our saliva, right? So water is sustained in food. In and through food, there is water. And even in what we eat, there's water. Then where does that food go? That food also liquefies. It liquefies. So that food becomes water. It becomes water. Whatever we do, we eat, we chew it, we chew it, we chew it. And when it goes into our digestive system, it becomes a digestive juices. It becomes water. So in this way, what he's saying is food is actually water. From the body, you come to food. From food, you come to water, because food rises because of water. Food is sustained because of water, because of our saliva, etc. And food is led, it is led by water. It is led to the digestive process by water. So therefore, ashanaya, which means hunger, ashanaya also means water. It means water. So he says, just like there is gonaya, there's a leader of the cows. There's somebody who leads the cows, like a cow herd boy, etc. Ashwanaya, there's a leader of the horses, the one who takes the horses and who leads the horses. Purushanaya, the one who leads the people, like the king. So also Ashanaya, the one who leads food, is called water. And understand that everything, he's telling Śvetaketu, that understand that everything has a root. Nothing, everything comes from something. And therefore, from body to food to water. So now from water, he's going to take us all the way to Sat, all the way to pure being. Okay? So now let us see the next mantra, mantra number 4. Tasya kwa mūlam syat, tasya kwa mūlam syat, anyatra annad, evameva khalu somya, anyatra annad, evameva khalu somya, annena shungena, Apo mūlam anvicha, apo mūlam anvicha, advisomya shungena, tejo mūlam anvicha, tejasa somya shungena, sanmūlam anvicha, Sanmūlam anvicha, sanmūlaha somya, imaha sarvaha prajaha, Sad ayatanaha sat pratishtaha. Sad ayatanaha sat pratishtaha. So now he says, Tasya kwa mūlam syat. So what is the mūla? What is the root cause of tasya, of that body? What is the root cause of that body? Annat anyatra means it cannot be different from food. Annat from food, anyatra kwasya. It can't be different from food. And therefore he says, Evam eva khalu somya. In this way, O Śvetaketu, annena shungena apa mūlam anvicha. So with food, shunga means like a sprout. With food as the sprout, water is the root. Apa mūla. Anvicha means, think about this. So with food as a sprout, water is the root. Then, Adhisomya shungena. With water as the sprout, teja, fire is the root. Anvicha, know this. And then he says, teja mūlam anvicha. When you know the root, now the root of fire, tejasa shunge. When you know the root of water is fire, rather, tejasa shungena. Fire now becomes a sprout. Fire is a sprout. And what is the root of that? Sanmūlam. Existence is the root. Existence is the root. So if you take food as the sprout, and then water is the root. Water is the sprout. Fire is the root. Fire is a sprout. What is the root? The root is Sat, or pure being. Sanmūlaha. Everything has existence as their root. Sad ayatanaha. Everything has existence as their abode. And sat pratishtaha. And everything merges into pure being or existence. So here it says, where could its root be apart from food? Even so, dear boy, with food as the shoot, look for water as the root. With water as the shoot, dear boy, look for fire as the root. And with fire as the shoot, dear boy, look for existence as the root. All creatures have existence as their root, have existence as their abode, and have existence as their support. So now let's think for a second. This body, we have broken it down to food. Now in this mantra, Adi Shankaracharya ji talks a little bit more about how this body can actually be broken down into food. So I'm gonna just read that portion. Right. Okay, here. So he says, listen carefully how the body is broken into food. We'll get now a clearer picture. He says, Tasya kwa mūlam syat. What could the root of the body be? Anyatra annat. Annam mūlam iti abhiprayaha. Means it cannot be different from food. How? Ashitam annam adbihi dravrikratam. So what happens is when food is digested, it is made watery. Dravrikratam. It's made watery. Then jatare agnina pachamanam. A fire digests it. So food is made watery. Then fire digests it. Rasa bhavena parinamate. Then it becomes this rasa, this essence. And this essence, rasa, shonitam. Shonitam means blood. So this essence becomes blood. Shonitat mamsam. That blood now becomes flesh. Mamsat medaha. And from that flesh comes fat. Medasaha asti. And from that fat comes bones. Astibhyaha majja. From bones come marrow. Majjayaha shukram. And from that marrow comes that seed for a male, that ovum for a female. That way, everything here that we see is food. So that body, through this process, which Adi Shankaracharya has so beautifully written in his commentary, he said that body is nothing but the food that we eat. And also that is why they're very careful when a couple is reproducing or is going to have a child. They say to watch what they're eating, because the essence of the male and the essence of the female, that becomes the child, that becomes the fetus. And so now this is how the body becomes food. Then now that food becomes water, that we have already seen in the previous mantra, because it is water that leads the food, right? It's water that leads the food. Water causes food. Food is sustained in water, and food ultimately goes into water. Now fire, tejasa. So also we saw in the beginning that whenever there's heat, there is water. So for example, whenever there's the heat of the sun, what happens is there's evaporation that comes in the water. And then the water rises, and then there's condensation, and then precipitation. The clouds form, and then slowly rain comes. So from that heat of the sun comes water. So from heat, we see water. At the same time, when we eat, we put solid food in our mouth, and then it liquefies. And then what sustains it is the digestive fire. So what sustains it is the digestive fire, and that food, which becomes water, goes into fire. So in fire, it is sustained, and in fire, it goes to. So after it goes into fire, but jatare agnina pachamanam, after it goes into fire, then the essence comes to make all of our bones and fat and flesh, etc. So then this water now becomes fire. This water is fire. We can call, just like we called hunger water, in the next mantra, we're going to call, this thirst fire. Because what's happening is that every effect is losing itself in its cause. So that body is losing itself in food. It's just food. That food is losing itself in water. That water is losing itself in fire. So this is what it means to know the roots of everything. This word anvicha means to seek, keep seeking the root of everything. And once we keep seeking the root of everything, we will come to Sat. We will come to that pure being. So from fire, let us say, in Chandogya Upanishad, it comes straight from food, or from earth, water, fire, it comes to Sat. But if we take other Upanishads, it will come from earth, water, fire, and then it will come even to air. It will come even to air, and then it will come into space. It will come slowly, and we saw this in Panchadashi chapter 2, right? How everything merges into that previous element. And how we see that is because if we take it from space, let us say we take it up from space down to earth, space has that property of sound, the guna of sound. So then when we take air, we say air comes from space, because now air has also the property of sound, but the property of touch. And then we say that from air comes fire, because now fire has the property of not only sound, touch, but form and color. Then from fire comes what we say water, because water now has 4 properties. It has sound, it has touch, it has form, and it has taste also. Then from water comes earth. Now, earth has 5 properties. Earth has the property of sound, property of touch, the property of form, the property of taste, the property of smell. So like that, in let us say Taittiriya Upanishad, it speaks about everything coming from space. So whether we say that, okay, it came from space or it came from fire, the thing that we have to keep going to is keep going to Sat. Now, how did space come? How did fire come? Where did they come? When did they come? And how do they come? So then we trace it to Sun Mūla. Everything has existence as its being, means it is all the play of Maya. It's all the play of these names and forms. Why? Because all of these things are appearing. They're appearing to us. They're an object of our experience. They're appearing to us. We are able to see them. We're able to hear them, smell them, taste them in their grossified form. We're able to experience them, right? Because we are able to experience them, that means that is not us. That is not the depth of it. Science will come only up to maybe energy. It comes, right? But energy is also something that is experienced. We experience energy. We experience these elements. We experience these changes. So anything that we experience, that cannot be the reality, because there's always a experiencer. There's always a seer. There's always something that illumines all that. It cannot experience itself. It cannot know itself. This world cannot know by itself. It needs something to illuminate. So when we keep tracing everything back, we come to that pure being, which is Sat, which is also pure awareness. So one Vedantic exercise is to just keep tracing the root, and we'll understand that Sun Mūla. Everything has its root in pure existence. And what must be understood is also pure awareness. Everything has its root there. San Pratishtaha, Sat Pratishtaha means, first we'll go to Sad Ayatana. Sad Ayatana means everything is sustained in existence alone. Everything is sustained in existence, and without existence, it cannot exist. So without existence, the body cannot exist. Without existence, earth, fire, water, air, space, all of that cannot exist. But I can exist without all of that. So all of it exists in existence. Existence is the support, is the ayatan, it's the abode. And Sat Pratishtaha, and everything merges back into existence. So to take it from another viewpoint, is that when we awake, everything is coming from existence awareness. When we awake, this entire world of names and forms, everything comes from where? From Sat. And as we are awake, as we are in this waking world doing our things, everything is sustained in Sat, your being. And as we sleep, everything that we know, we think, we experience, it all again merges up into Sat. So that earth, that water, that fire, everything, it comes from pure being. It is sustained in pure being, and it goes back into pure being. That means it's nothing but pure being alone. Just like in the dream. Everything comes from the dreamer's mind. It is sustained in the dreamer's mind, and it goes back into the dreamer's mind. And it cannot exist apart from the dreamer's mind. That's the most important thing. It cannot exist apart from the dreamer's mind. So this whole world, whether you take it to space, whether you take it to fire, this whole world exists in Sat, comes from Sat. It is sustained by Sat. It goes into Sat, and it cannot exist without Sat. Just like that pot comes from clay. It in and through the pot is clay and clay alone. And when the pot dissolves, it is clay. And in fact, there is no pot apart from clay. So sanmulaha, everything has existence as its root. Look for that. Sat ayatanaha, everything has existence as its abode. Sat pratishtaha, and everything merges back into existence alone. What we see in the world and what we see what we see in the macrocosm, what we see in the microcosm is the same thing. This is a law of the world. What's happening in the microcosm, it's happening in the macrocosm. What's happening in the macrocosm, it's happening in the microcosm. So in the world, we have what's called pralaya. Pralaya means the dissolution of the world. So there's a point where the world supposedly manifested in its state, and there's a point when the world dissolves. Now, how to understand the point where the world comes into manifestation and the world comes into unmanifestation? How to understand that? Simple. Understand when we come into manifestation and when we come to unmanifestation. Right? Every day we have this pralaya, this dissolution. Every day we have manifestation and unmanifestation. Every day we wake up and every day we go to sleep. So this is happening in the microcosm. That's happening in the macrocosm. Whatever is happening there is happening here. Whatever is happening here is happening there. But the root of everything is that Sat. Pure. Okay. So now we'll go to the fifth mantra, where he's going to just, the fifth and the sixth are very, very similar to what we have seen. So I'll translate and I'll give you the essence of it. The fifth mantra now. Athayatra etat purushaha, athayatra etat purushaha, pipasati nama, teja eva tat pitam nayate, teja eva tat pitam nayate. Excuse me for a second. I said teja and my throat also dried up. Tadyatha, tadyatha, gonayaha, ashwanayaha, purushanayaha. Gonayaha, ashwanayaha, purushanayaha, ityevam, tatteja achaste, udanya iti, tatra etad eva shungam utpatitam, somya vijanihi, na idam amulam bhavishyati, So he says here, atha, again, yatra etat purusha, when a being, a person, is thirsty, pipasati nama, his name is pipasati. When a person is said to be thirsty, he is pipasati. Teja eva tat pitam nayate. All that it means is fire led the water. Fire dried up the water. And that's why we are thirsty. So we are thirsty when fire has dried up the water. And the digestive system has dried it up completely, that we're like craving water now. Just like tadyatha, gonayaha, ashwanayaha. There's a leader of cows, there's a leader of horses, purushanaya, there's a leader of beings, ityevam, tatteja achaste, means that they speak of this fire Udanya, as they speak of this fire as Udanya. Udanya means, it means thirst, and it also means fire. So Udanya means Udakam Patum Icha. The one who is thirsty is Udanya. The one who has thirst, rather, is Udanya. But then, when you take another meaning, Udakam Nayati Iti Udanya. That which leads water is called Udanya. So fire is called Udanya. So there's this play of words. Udanya means thirst, and it also means fire. Because when fire leads water, then we have thirst. Then he says, Tatra etad shungam utpatitam, means there has to be a root for this. Naidam ambulam. It's not that it can be without a root. There has to be a root for this water, and that root is fire. So again, when a man is said to be thirsty, then it is to be understood that fire is leading away what has been drunk. That's when we get thirsty. Just as people speak of the leader of cows, the leader of horses, and the leader of men, even so they speak of that fire as the leader of water. Hence, dear boy, know this water to be put forth by a root. It cannot be without a root. So again, he's saying that keep tracing everything to their root. So body is tracing to food. Food, we traced it to water. Now water is nothing but fire. We're saying water is nothing but fire. And so now we go to the next mantra. The first part will be similar to what we have seen, and then he will go a little bit more. Tasya kwa mūlam syat, tasya kwa mūlam syat, anyatra adbhi somya, anyatra adbhi somya, shungena, tejo mūlam anvicha, tejo mūlam anvicha, tejasa somya shungena, tejasa somya shungena, sanmūlam anvicha, sanmūlam anvicha, sanmūlaha somya, sanmūlaha somya, imaha sarvaha prajaha, imaha sarvaha prajaha, sad ayatanaha, sad pratishtaha, sad ayatanaha, sad pratishtaha, yathanu khalu somya, yathanu khalu somya, imaha tisro devataha, imaha tisro devataha, purusham prapya, trivrit ekaika bhavati, trivrit ekaika bhavati, taduktam purastad eva bhavati, taduktam purastad eva bhavati, asya somya, purushasya, prayataha, vāṅ manasi sampadhyate, manah prāṇe, prāṇastejasi, tejah parasyam devatayam. So very interesting here. He also brings the process of death. And he also brings all of these three elements in the process of death. But before that, he says, so, tasya kwa mūlam sya means its root from water. Where could its root be apart from water, right? So, where could food's root be apart from water? So here it says, Adbi somya shungena tejo mūlam anvicha. From that water being a sprout, the root of water is fire. Tejasa somya shungena, with fire as the sprout. Sanmūlam anvicha, the root of that fire is sun. Sanmulaha somya. The root of everything is sat, or existence. Imaha sarvaha prajaha. All of these beings, sat ayatanaha, are sustained in existence. Sat pratishtaha, they dissolve in existence. Yathanu khalu somya. Just as somya, imaha tisraha devataha. These three deities, earth, water, and fire, purusham prapya, having reached a being, eka trivrit bhavati, how each one becomes threefold, tat purastad eva uktam, that has been explained before, tat purastad evam bhavati. Now listen, to a person who's prayataha, who's departing, when this person departs, what happens? Vang manasi sampadyate. The speech goes into the mind. Manaf prāṇe, the mind goes into the prāṇa. Prāṇa tejasi, the prāṇa goes into the fire. And tejah parasyam devatayam, fire goes into the supreme deity. So where could its root be apart from water? Dear boy, with water as a shoot, look for fire as the root. With fire as a shoot, look for existence as the root. All these creatures have existence as their root, have existence as their abode, and have existence as their support. How, dear boy, each of these three deities on reaching man becomes threefold has been explained to you earlier. When this man is about to depart, his speech merges into the mind, mind into the prāṇa, and prāṇa in fire, and fire in the supreme deity. So now he's saying very beautifully, now, first, the idea is first, know me in sleep. Know me in sleep, right? That was the first concept. Know me in sleep, because when we sleep, we attain to our pure being, Sat, only we don't know it. Now he says, know me in hunger and thirst. Because when we think about hunger and thirst, keep tracing the root. Keep tracing the root. That the body is from food. That food is led by water, ashanaya, and that the water is led by fire, udanya. And then from fire, you come to that Sat, that pure being. Keep tracing the root and you come to Sat. And that way, Sat is the root of everything. Now, also he says, in death, Sat also is a root. So when we're sleeping, come to existence. When we're hungry or when we're thirsty, come to existence. And these are day-to-day experiences, so beautiful. Now death, he says, what happens in death? Let me tell you. So first, when a person is prayataha, when a person is departing, vang manasi sampadyate. So the first thing is the speech merges into the mind. You'll find that the person cannot speak so much anymore. Cannot speak. The speech is slowly getting lost or getting blurred. They're losing their speech. And they're losing, and as we grow older, we lose our speech also. So the speech merges into the mind. Now, then that mind merges into what? Prāṇa. So the mind, what gets lost next is the thoughts. Then they're not able to distinguish or to think who's who. So that the thoughts become quite blurry. The thoughts become quite blurry and one is not able to tell who is there, who is not there. Everything is just a blur. But after that, the mana gets merged into prāṇa. The mind gets merged into prāṇa. So one loses their speech, then the thoughts become blur, but the prāṇas are still there. The person's still breathing. So you can feel the person still breathing and they might have all these tubes hooked up to them. And they're not able to recognize anything, not able to speak anything, but that prāṇa is still there. And what happens is that prāṇa slowly goes, and for some point in time, the body is still warm. The fire is still there. The body is still warm. Then how you know, like when people check if somebody is alive or not, they check the pulse, they check the breathing, right? So prana has gone, but the body still is warm for some time. Then after that, even the warmth of the body, it goes. The warmth of the body goes, and so therefore fire has gone. Fire has gone. And fire has gone, and that being has attained to Sat. So now, just look at this very beautifully. When we saw food, when we saw just the concept of eating, the food that is eaten, it becomes threefold. Huh? The subtlest portion of food becomes the mind, correct? Water, when it is drunk, it's threefold. And the subtlest portion of water is prāṇa. Then fire here is key, right? The subtlest portion of it is threefold, is that speech, right? That speech in the fire. So now, again, you see all of these elements here, right? So we see the mind, it merges into the prāṇa. So that food is going into the water, okay? Then the prana is merging into teja, into that fire. So that water again is merging into fire, into that subtlest fire. That's fire. And so again, the food's merging into water, water is merging into fire, and that being then attains to Sat. But the question is, what do you mean that being attains to Sat? Means that being is it's pure existence, is just pure, like we are in deep sleep. Death is like a longer, prolonged deep sleep. Sleep is like a short death. Sleep is like a short death in that for some part of time we are completely in Sat, attained to our true being. But when we wake up with the same samskaras. We wake up with the same vasanas, same knowledge, same samskaras. We wake up with that same thing, that same ignorance also. Death also, what happens is, we attain to our pure being, but that subtle body now, it wakes up with the same vasanas, the same deep impressions that we had, it wakes up again. But that jiva that wakes up, that subtle body, that jiva that wakes up, doesn't wake up in the same body, just wakes up in a different body. And that's what you call death. So sleep is simple. I go to sleep, I attain my pure being, I wake up in the same body. But if I attain my pure being and I wake up in a different body, that's called death. So they just simplified it very, very nicely. And of course, for a Jivan Mukta, for one who is liberated by living, their death is their final state. They don't come back anymore. They don't come back anymore because that subtle body that is pushed out. So remember, the subtle body is pushed out because of its desire. When we go to sleep, what is waking us up? Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this. I have to do that. We go to sleep with also that thought. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this. So when we wake up, I have to do this. Now, when people die, we're dying, and they say, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And then that same subtle body will come out and will enable you to fulfill your desires. That's why the subtle body comes back out. But for a realized person, there is no I want, because there is no I. There's no question of I want. There's no I, ego, individuality. So when a liberated person goes into death, there is nothing that's pushing them out to come again. So in this way, Uddālaka Ṛṣī tells us, when we sleep, when we're hungry and thirsty, and when we witness death, think of Sat, think of pure being. everything always merges into purity. So we'll start. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. It is good to leave hunger so that we can think about Sat. Okay? All right.